Okay, we are looking at Bolivar for a second time. We're going to take a look at some of the pictures that we will see. And I just want to remind you that Bolivar's big time was when they were making fire brick there. And fire brick was something that came about because at Bolivar, right along the Conemaugh River, there was the kind of clay that you needed to make fire brick. Fire brick cannot be made from just any kind of clay. You had to have a certain kind. If you didn't have that, well, you didn't make bricks that would withstand heat. Okay, Slick and Shiny Productions moves on to show you Reese Hammond Fire Brick Company. We're making a lot of bricks at Bolivar. Reese Hammond were two companies, actually two families involved in making the fire bricks at Bolivar. That is a fire brick, and it's sitting on regular brick, which shows a distinction. RHFB, Reese Hammond Fire Brick Company in Bolivar. This is the Reese Hammond Fire Brick Company in 1907. This is one of the works. This is works number 2. That is the better version. I worked that up a bit, put color on it and fixed it up. That is a not so good photo of it looking downstream. The Conemaugh goes by and turns right there at Bolivar. This is mapping, 1909 mapping. And I want to point out this building down here because it shows up in the next frame. That is the building I was trying to show you. See, this is associated with works number 1. This is still Reese Hammond. And we'll see down here Bolivar Foundry Machine Shop right in town, and in a couple years it'll be 3/10 of a mile east of town, and we'll see that too. This is Reese Hammond's letterhead, and you see they show the Bolivar operation right on their letterhead with the Conemaugh going by. This is 1909 mapping, and I put this on here because I wanted to show you up close a bit. At that time, Bolivar had an opera house. It was an up-and-coming place. A lot of things were going on there. This is the town. What we were looking at was right in here, up north, right along the Conemaugh River. And next we will see a place 3/10 east of town, right here. We'll see the foundry and machine shop. The guys all come out for a picture. And it looks like they're running a junkyard here, and in a sense they are. A foundry is a place where molten metal is poured into molds to make metal objects, pieces of machinery and various things. And what they were doing here was collecting scrap iron, cutting it up, and then putting it in the cupola to melt it down and get it molten so that they could pour it into molds. But that's why all the scrap metal was around there. This shows the foundry in the 1990s. The Habs Hair team did that documentation. They were still using it to a degree. Google Earth got this picture more recently, and there it looks like it might be used for storage. This image gives us the impression that there's some pretty serious topography around Bolivar, and there is. This is Bolivar with Robinson across the river. This is a topographical map giving us a more exact rendition of the topographical features around Bolivar. I wanted to point out this symbol indicates that there was a place where they were quarrying stone. Here's another one here, another quarry over here. And those quarries were used by Pittsburgh people. In particular, I point out Boss Flynn. That was Bill Flynn, head of the Republican Party and pretty much the big mover and shaker in Pittsburgh in the late 1800s and into the 1900s. Bill Flynn, or Boss Flynn, had a construction company. They did a lot of stuff, including building streets in Pittsburgh. That's why they were quarrying stuff out around Bolivar, quarrying the kind of stone that you needed, like Belgian block and that stuff. There's Boss Flynn at work, out talking the talk. 1867 shows Bolivar with a doctor, 2 blacksmiths, and 2 companies making fire brick. By the 1880s, we will see 4 companies making fire brick. This shows what it looks like in the 1800s in a place where fire brick was made. And this shows the clay that was needed to make fire brick being, I don't want to say, what I should say is being dug or mined. And as time went on into the 1930s, there was machinery that was used to make the bricks. This is what Bolivar looked like when the guys were working. They were hauling the fire brick and around from place to place. There was still a lot of manual work done. This was Bolivar in the 1860s, and by the early 1900s it had increased in size. The Hammond Company put these 2 additions onto the town. Here's Bolivar, and West Bolivar over here. Robinson across the Conemaugh and into Indiana County. And to sum up, I'll say that 2 of the families that were very instrumental in developing Bolivar because of the fire brick business was the Hammond Company and the Robinson Company. This is what Bolivar looked like from the air, from an airplane in 1939. Bolivar, West Bolivar over here. Robinson is over here. You can't see a whole lot of it. And we see our design caboose telling us we've gone far enough and we should push the button that shuts it down and say so long and say thanks for coming along on another trip to see one of the places, one of the communities in Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania.